Hello, guys, and welcome back to AstroLyrical. I'm so excited. We are getting into our third season, and I'm so excited to share more guests and more astrological information with y'all. Today, we are doing a solo episode, meaning it is moi, by myself here, talking about some of my favorite subjects with astrology. There's so much to talk about with astrology. There are so many different topics that go into astrology, how a chart works, the different aspects of a chart, all the different points, the nodes, the signs, all of it. So we're going to get to some of those. But the first one I want to talk about are the houses. I know a lot of you guys have had questions about what are the houses? Like, how do the houses work? What do they mean? When you're trying to look at your own chart, like, what do you look for in the houses to understand where your planets are at, like what that means for you and everything? So that's why we wanted to do an episode today talking about that, because this is a very popular topic and this is something that we really want to get into. And so that everyone has the knowledge, not only for their own chart, but for when we're talking about a guest chart and I'm saying, oh yeah, her moon is in the second house, you'll be able to be like, oh, I know what that means, and be able to follow along a little bit better. So we're going to start off with the first house. I have my chart up here as an example to kind of show exactly, like, again, it's different for everyone, but this is like showing my chart with the houses and where all the planets are at. So how you figure out the houses. So it starts off with your rising sign. So when you go to your mom or dad and be like, hey, I know my birthday, but what is the birth time? Number one, get the birth time. That is going to help you in so many ways, especially when figuring out your own chart. So once you have the birth time, and yes, it's helpful to be accurate, like exact. You could say like 12 a.m., whatever, but like that won't be exact. So let's try to get the exact time of day or night. So first, you have your time, your rising, and that is going to set up the entire chart. So you could see with my chart, I'm a Leo rising because I was born at 1:03 p.m. on April 25th. If I was born a couple hours later, that would be a totally different rising. I'd be a Virgo rising. And so all the houses would be set up differently. But because I'm a Leo rising, that makes Leo my first house. Now, we have the houses, meaning like we have the ruler of the house based in your own chart. Like for me, the first house is ruled by Leo. But then we have the traditional rulers of each house, meaning each house has a traditional sign that rules it. And that's going to be the same for everyone. So for like, let's say the first house is ruled by Aries. The second house is ruled by Taurus. The third house is ruled by Gemini, and so on. So it's like that is going to be the main ruler of the house. But then for your own specific chart, you're going to have your own specific rulers of each house based on what your rising sign is. So anyways, moving on, we've got Leo rising as the first. Now, people always ask me, they're like, well, what if I don't really have much going on in a particular house? Like maybe I have all my planets in one house, but I have nothing. Like for me, I don't really have anything in my first quadrant, meaning the first, second, or third houses. I don't have anything. That doesn't mean that I don't have energy in those houses. It just means that for me in this lifetime, that's not like where my specific energy lies as much. My energy lies more in the 10th house, 11th house, and 6th house, 7th house, that area. But basically, you go through the wheel. So the first house for me is ruled by Leo. So Leo would be like the landlord, essentially, of the house. And any planets within that would be more like the tenants, meaning like the landlord is the overall ruler of that house. But then the planets within it are the tenants, meaning they have their role in that house, but it's all going to be under the umbrella of what the landlord says. So just going through the houses, we've got the first house. The first house is traditionally ruled by Aries. It is the house of self. It is the house of the physical body. It is your wants, your needs. It's similar to the rising sign where it's about how you are projecting yourself out to the world, how people see you. It's basically similar to the rising sign in that way. So we've got the first house being, again, your direction you're going, how people see you, how you present yourself, how, you want people to see you and everything like that. Then we move on to the second house. Second house is ruled traditionally by Taurus. Taurus is all about values. It's about material possessions. It's about finances. So let's say you have Uranus in the second house. That's going to say a lot about how you are going to make your income in this lifetime and your relationship with money, your relationship with your values, possessions, material things, everything like that. So if you, let's say, have Uranus in the second house, the way that you make money might be a little untraditional. It might be a little unconventional. It might be a little erratic. It may be that your source of income isn't like by the book and standard and able to predict how that's going to work out for you. So that's the second house. The third house is the Gemini house. So it's all about daily communication, travel, it's your extended family, it's your siblings, it's the mind, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's all about your mind, how you think, how you process, everything like that. And then the fourth house, again, as we're going along the chart, how it works is basically the first three houses are really basic. It's about you, it's about your values, it's about your mind. And then as we go along the wheel, it gets more expansive and it gets into others, so we get into the fourth house, and that's all about family and home and like your upbringing. So when I see a lot of energy in the fourth house, or let's say I see Sagittarius on the cusp of your fourth house, to me, that shows me that your family life, your home life might have been involved with a lot of travel. Maybe there was a lot of education. There was a lot of philosophy, because Sag is all about education, philosophy, learning, culture. So it tells me that your family life kind of was functioned in that way. So seeing not only what planets are in a house, but what the ruler of that house is saying is really important to understand your own chart. As we go along the wheel, so we go from family, then we're extending outward. Fifth house is the Leo house. So it's about pleasure, it's about sexuality, it's about creativity, it's about children. Not only having your own children, but like connecting to your childlike self. How do you connect to children, both like internally with your own childlike spirit, as well as like children out in the world? It's the house of pets, it's the house of fun, and overall it's the house of heart. Leo is all about heart. So it's all about affection and how you show others affection and how you want to be shown affection as well. So we have these more personal houses. And then as we go outward, the sixth house is the Virgo house. So that's all about work, health, healing, being of service. And then we move forward. Again, we're starting with the basic self. Then we're connecting with family and children. Then it's about work. Then the seventh house comes, it's the Libra house, and it's all about one-to-one partnership, meaning the romantic relationships you have in your life, the platonic relationships you have in your life, and business relationships. It's all about how you function one-to-one with others and creating balance within those relationships too. And that is more of like a surface level type relationship. As we move again through the chart, the eighth house, the Scorpio house, gets more into the deep intimacy of our relationships, as well as talks about death, rebirth, transformation, as well as loans, debt, and taxes, things that you owe other people, as well as the deep connections that we owe each other. So again, we're talking about relationships with other people. And then as we get into that 9th, 10th, 11th house area, then we're talking more about the world. 9th house is the Sagittarius house. So it's about culture. It's about traveling. It's about learning new things. It's about being a teacher and being a student. So if you have big 9th house energy, it's similar to having a lot of Sagittarian planets. You're interested in seeing different parts of the world, meeting new people, understanding different ideas, your expansion. You're all about expanding your mind. And it's similar to the 3rd house, where education, teaching, learning, all that is important. But the third house is more about smaller, detailed topics, where the ninth house is more about broad, big topics, again, like culture and learning about the world and everything like that. So as we go along, then the 10th house is all about your work, your public roles. How are you making your name in the world? And you can see for me, that's where I have a lot of my energy. I have my sun, moon, and Mercury all in the 10th house, meaning that for me, it's really important to make a difference in the world, to put myself out there. Like how I show up in the world is really important to me. And having personal planets there like I do is a big part of who I am, which is why I love being here with you, being able to share ideas and being able to put my ideas out there in the world. So that's all 10th house energy. And then 11th house is the Aquarius house, meaning that is the house of friendships, of groups, of community, of collective. We have a lot of Aquarian energy happening now in our world. So the 11th house is a really important house to remember, both like if you have that natally in your own chart, but also thinking of it on a more widespread collective level. Aquarian energy, 11th house energy is really important right now. And it's about how do we create a society and a collective that is respectful, that is loving, that is understanding. And Aquarian energy does go to the beat of its own drum. So it is also very unconventional and eccentric and all that too. And then we get to the very last house, which is the 12th house. And it's interesting. It's like when we start at the very beginning of the wheel with the first house, it's like we're starting with our most basic sense of self. The way my astrologer likes to put it, and sorry if this sounds a little graphic, but it's like the first house is like almost like the sperm of life. It is the sperm of life. And it is like the first shot into the world. Aries energy is very direct. It's all about what it wants in that moment, going for what it needs, and not really worrying about anything else. And then as we go along the wheel, like the second house is almost like, again, going with that metaphor, like the fetus, like it is nurturing this energy. And as we go along the wheel, we get more and more outward. And then it connects back to the 12th house, which is the very last house and is the most outwardly house, meaning it's this house that is very connected almost to what is beyond us. Like we start with ourselves and then we go outward, out into the world. And then we come back to this place where it's just between us and whatever you believe, source, energy, God, the universe, all of it. It's like we're going back to this intuitive place where we're able to connect with whatever's beyond us. So a lot of 12th house energy. So if you have a lot of energy in your 12th house, that could show up as being a person who is very tapped in to messages from the beyond, or very tapped in to intuition, very spiritual. It also talks about the things that are not seen in everyday life, prisons, mental hospitals, people that are kind of hidden away. That's very 12th house energy, So again, a lot of the artists we talk to on the podcast have a lot of 12th house energy or a lot of Piscean energy, which Pisces rules the 12th house. So people like that are just able to tap into something that's a little bit different than people with, let's say, first house energy. They may not be able to tap in as much to that. So essentially, once you get to the 12th house, we really are kind of making the full circle. It is a full comprehensive wheel of all the different parts of yourself. But again, just because you may not have a lot in a certain area of your chart doesn't mean that energy doesn't exist. It does. It's just that in this lifetime, your specific goals might be in, let's say for me, the 10th house. And that's where my energy is going, So it's just really interesting to understand the houses, because I think once you understand where all your planets are at, then you'll have a better sense of the energy and the direction that you're meant to go in, what's important to you, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are things to work on. So understanding the house and its placements are a really important part of that. basically we kind of went through all the houses, but just to recap that, first house is house of self. Second house is house of possessions, finances, money. Third house is all about communications, the mind, travel, siblings. Fourth house is the house of home and family. Fifth house is the house of creativity, sexuality, children, pleasure, fun. Sixth house is the Virgo house. So that is all about work, being of service, your health. Seventh house is the Libra house. So it's all about one-to-one partnership with romantic partners, business partners, as well as platonic partners. Eighth house is the Scorpio house. So that's transformation. That is death and rebirth, as well as just overall transformation of self. Ninth house is the Sag house. So that's travel, culture, learning, being a student, being a teacher. 10th house is the public roles and ways that you show up in the world through your work. 11th house is Aquarius. So that is communication, that is collectives, communities, groups, social work, out in the world. And then 12th house is the Pisces house. So that is all about what is unseen, our connection to source, our connection to intuition, creativity, everything like that. And then we get back to the first. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please let us know. You can email us. Let us know if this episode helped you understand either your houses or just houses in general. And I love talking about this stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Remember, all of our charts are uploaded to our Instagram, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at astrological_pod. And we have a YouTube now as well. So make sure to like, subscribe, and tell all your friends, and please comment. We love to hear all your thoughts. This podcast is recorded by John Nyson, produced by Juliana Hartman and Danielle Marascalchi, and hosted by me, Liana Bassior. Thanks and goodbye.